next week. Luca, because this one got me. This one did make me cry. It's a 2021 American computer animated coming of age fantasy film produced by Pixar. So it's Pixar for Walt Disney. The film was directed by Enrico Casarosa in his feature directional debut. Damn, your first movie directed, and it's a Walt Disney one. It's no small feat. Produced by Andrea Warren, written by Jesse Andrews, and who? Mike Jones. From a story, but not that Mike Jones, by Casarosa, Andrews, and Simon Stevenson. Stars the voices of Jacob Tremblay, Jack Dylan Grazer, Emma Berman, Saverio Raimondo, Marco Baricelli, Maya Rudolph, I know that one, Jim Gaffigan, I know that one, Peter Son, Lorenzo Crissi, Marina Massaroni, and Sandy Martin in supporting roles. Set on the Italian Riviera, the film centers on Luca Paguro, which is the voice of Tremblay, a young sea monster boy with the ability to assume human form while on land, who explores the town of Porto Rosso with his new best friends, Alberto Scorfano, Dylan Grazer, and Giulia Marcovaldi Berman experience a life-changing summer adventure, but they have no choice when it seeks to threaten his true identity. For secret led by Ercole Visanti, Raimondo, a bully served by his henchmen Ciccio and Guido, John and Chrissy. Luca draws inspiration from Casarosa's childhood in Genoa, Italy. Several Pixar artists were sent to the Italian Riviera, gathering research from Italian culture and environment to create Porto Rosso. That's a fun field trip. The primary setting, the sea monsters, a metaphor for feeling different, were loosely based on old Italian regional myths and folklore. As with La Luna from 2011, the design and animation were inspired by hand-drawn and stop-motion works and Hayao Miyazaki style. Casarosa described the result as a film that pays homage to Federico Fellini and other classic Italian filmmakers, with the dash of Miyazaki in the mix too. Development on Luca lasted for 5 years, with production being done remotely during the COVID-19 pandemic. Dan Romer composed the film's musical score. Luca premiered at the Aquarium of Genoa on June 13, 2021, and was originally set to be released theatrically in the US on June 18, 2021. However, in response to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, the film was released direct to streaming on Disney+. It was also given a simultaneous 1-week theatrical run at Hollywood's El Capitan Theater from 18th to 24th of June 21. It was released in theaters in countries without the streaming service. The film received generally positive reviews from critics, with praises for its visuals, voice acting, and nostalgic feel. It was also the most viewed streaming movie of 21. With over 10.6 billion minutes watched. And I barely watched it in 22 or 23, probably 22. 22, 23. It was nominated for Best Animated Feature Film at the 79th Golden Globe Awards and 94th Academy Awards, but lost both awards to Encanto. A related short film starring Alberto titled Ciao Alberto was released on Disney Plus on November 12, 21. I need to watch that. And my thoughts on Encanto winning. Encanto's cool. It's got a lot of music. The music will Luca doesn't have a lot of music, but it's more of a guy film, a boy film. Encanto's more of a girl film, I think. But Encanto is also for everybody. I think Luca was too, but I think it's more of a old school type movie. So on July 30th of 2020, Pixar announced a new film titled Luca as an Italy set coming of age story, with Casarosa directing and Warren producing. He produced the 2011 Academy Award nominated for short film La Luna. It is the first Pixar film to be made exclusively at crew members' homes because of the closing of Pixar campus in Emeryville, California, due to the COVID-19 pandemic. However, Casarosa stated it took 5 years to complete the development of Luca. He described Luca as a deeply personal story being inspired by his childhood in Genoa, Italy, with the title character based on himself and Alberto on his best friend Alberto Surace, who voices a fisherman in the Italian dub version. Casarosa has stated, "My summers were spent on beaches. I met my best friend when I was 11. I was really shy and I found this troublemaker of a kid who had a completely different life. I wanted to make a movie about those kinds of friendships to help you grow up." He also declared that the film's core is the celebration of friendship. Childhood friendships often set the course of who we want to become, and it is those bonds that are at the heart of our story in Luca. So in addition to the beauty and charm of the Italian seaside, our films will feature an unforgettable summer adventure that will fundamentally change Luca. According to Casarosa, the result is a film that pays homage, like we said earlier, to Fellini and other Italian filmmakers with a dash of Miyazaki. In addition to their works, the films La Terra Trema from 48, Stromboli from 50, and Stand By Me from 86 were also cited as source of inspiration, and Aardman Animations and Wes Anderson stop-motion films influenced Casarosa's artistic sensibilities. To prepare for the film, as we said earlier, they sent some of the artists to Italian Riviera for a research trip, which took photos of the area's landscape and peoples. The film is rooted in the 50s and 60s. See, I didn't realize that when I was watching it, but it makes sense. That Casarosa has described as a golden age that feels timeless, with the music and designs inspired from that period to capture a little bit of this timelessness of summer. The sea monsters featured in the film were pulled from Italian myths and regional folklore, including the Telero octopus and local little legends about sea dragons, creatures that either come to help or get into trouble. Casarosa said, "I always found the old sea monsters on maps really fascinating. The mystery of the sea was so represented in the weird creatures that we used to draw. And that area has a lot of wonderful myths." Production designer Daniela Strijleva said, "We were really inspired by old sea maps. Some design details," and by map that sometimes I use for anxiety news, I was really thinking about drawing little monsters and shit in the ocean. How decorative their scales are and the curve of their tails. Casarosa also stated that sea monster is a metaphor for feeling different. Disney filed for copyright registry the names Porto Rosso and Isola del Mar, or Sea Island. In the final film, Luca's surname is Paguro, Italian for hermit crab, while Porto Rosso is the name of the village which the film is set. Casarosa stated that the movie is a celebration of friendship and a love letter to the summers of our youth, those formative years when you're finding yourself. Man, it gives me a flashback to my summers of youth. The title character is based on himself, and Alberto on his best friend of the same name. He was timid. His friend was a troublemaker. He pushed him out of his comfort zone, pushed me off many cliffs, metaphorically and not. I would probably not be here if I didn't learn to chase my dreams from him. It's these types of deep friendships that I wanted to talk about in Luca, and this is what at the heart of the film. A lot of this is repeated. We were also a bit of outsiders, so it felt right to use sea monsters to express the idea that we felt a little different, not as cool, and not as cool kids. I always found the monsters fascinating on the maps. There's a theme of openness, showing oneself and self-acceptance, as well as community acceptance, confronting the idea that there's more to sea monsters than they realize. You know, they've only seen it through one perspective, one lens, and so I think it's a wonderful theme in the film, which is that those ideas weren't right and that there's more to learn. Casarosa agreed, "We hope that sea monster could be a metaphor for all manners of feeling different. like being a teen or even preteen, any moment where you feel odd. It felt like a wonderful way to talk about that and having to accept ourselves first, whatever way we feel different. Some have seen Luca and Alberto hiding their true sea monster identities as an allegory for people who are members of the LGBTQ plus community, feeling as though they need to hide their true selves in order to be accepted. Casarosa said this was unintentional and that his original vision for the film was to explore the time in a child's life before romance. But he has welcomed the interpretation after the film's release, also stating, "While I identify with pronouns he, him, and I am a straight man, the themes of diversity, acceptance, and inclusion in our movie are dear to my heart." Casarosa has stated that some people have interpreted the story as being a metaphor for refugees and immigrants as well. While he admitted that this was unintentional also, he was welcome to all interpretations. That's what good art is. "We were aware making the movie that this was a wonderful journey of owning your own identity and coming out with it, whatever identity that is. I thought that everyone would bring their own identity to it." He later admitted the film was intended to be a metaphor for race, and while romance was only briefly discussed, it was never meant to be a focal point to the story. Some people seem to get mad that I'm not saying yes or no, but I feel like this is a movie about being open to any difference. Interesting. Yeah, because it came out with a bunch of articles saying if the main characters in Pixar is gay, if Pixar is Luca. And then that was in February 21. And then in June 21, they say Pixar director says Luca is not LGBTQ romance. Somebody asked, is Luca Pixar's first gay movie? Oh, that's from the South China Morning Post. Interesting. Great movie, made me freaking cry, made me think about my homeboys. And it reminded me of me too. And then like spoilers, but the sacrifice that homeboy made, because he was getting jealous of old girl and stuff, but whenever he wanted his homeboy to go to school, because he just wanted to go to school, man. It was like Pinocchio, like a new Pinocchio. And the way that the dad of the girl loved the kid, he didn't care that he was a sea monster. Alberto. Yeah, man, this shit was fire. Check it out, Disney Plus. All right, be right back. We'll finish up with Badass Woman of Herstory and a freestyle flow. You already know it's a chingon. I had my head sideways.